Are you wondering if your carnelian is real, fake, heated, dyed, agate, some other stone? My name is Sheila from Satin Crystals, and today we are discussing real versus fake carnelian right after you subscribe to the Satin Crystals channel and like this video so we know that you are interested in real versus fake stone videos. What is carnelian? Carnelian is an orange chalcedony stone, and iron inclusions is what gives it its orange colors. Now, to tell if you have real carnelian in your collection, the best way is to have a reputable seller who knows what they are talking about, who's able to educate you on the stones and not just make something up if they don't know. Now, if you want to determine for yourself at home what you already have in your collection, I'm going to share with you a few tips. And just keep in mind that none of these are conclusive in themselves, so you might have to mix and match the tips to determine if your carnelian is real or not. Real carnelian is a 6.5 to a 7 on the Mohs scale of hardness. And the Mohs scale of hardness determines how hard your stone is, ranging from 1, which is a soft powdery talc, to a 10, which is hard as a diamond. So carnelian, being a 6.5 to 7, is a relatively harder stone. That means that it is able to scratch stones that are softer than a 6.5, and stones that are softer than 6.5 will not be able to scratch carnelian. So for example, we have a carnelian slab here, and I have a blue calcite stone here. Calcite is only a 3 on the Mohs scale of hardness, so it will not be able to scratch the carnelian, but the carnelian will be able to scratch the calcite. Real carnelian is always orange. So the color can range from a yellowish orange to a reddish orange to a brownish orange, but it'll always be some form of orange. So if somebody's selling you blue carnelian or green carnelian, you know that is a fake. Real carnelian will not have air bubbles or mold markings. So air bubbles are an indication of glass. You can check this out by looking through your magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe like I have here and looking into the stone to see if you can see any bubbles or any markings. Mold markings is when they place glass into bead molds, so you can see maybe sometimes the seams or the little indents in the stones that would not occur in the natural carnelian. So one of these here is a glass and one is carnelian, and you can be able to determine that by checking out the little inclusions within the stone, or you can mix and match, as I said, the other tests and determine which one is real and which one is a fake carnelian. Real carnelian is usually translucent. That means when you hold it up to a light source, you should be able to see through the stone. It shouldn't be too clear, too transparent. It shouldn't be too opaque where you can't see anything at all. At least some of the parts of the carnelian you should be able to see through. So you can see here as I am moving the flashlight around this carnelian, some spots are more translucent, some are more opaque, but it is a real piece of carnelian, so we do see that translucency. Real carnelian will have inclusions and patterns within the stone. It'll also have patchy colors of orange, so it won't be just one tone. It won't just be a smooth stone without any inclusions. So if you do have a piece that is just solid orange, it doesn't have any variation in shades, that could be suspect. As you can see, this natural carnelian piece has all shades of orange around it, and it has all kinds of patterns and inclusions as well. Real carnelian has a white streak. So despite its outwardly orange color, when you streak carnelian crystal on an unglazed white ceramic tile, the powder will be white. If it's any other color, it is not carnelian. If it does show some orange, it may be a dyed carnelian. But either way, real carnelian has a white streak in the crystal streak test. Of course, this is a destructive test to your stone, like many other tests, so just keep that in mind when you are doing them. Real carnelian will not leak color. It has a stable color and it will not dissolve in acetone. So acetone, 100% acetone is also known as nail polish remover. You would place your carnelian stones in the solution and see if the solution turns orange or if it remains clear. Now, if it does turn orange, you know that the stone has been dyed. It could still be real carnelian, just dyed to enhance the color, or it could be some totally different material. But real carnelian, which is not dyed, will not leak color. How do you know if your carnelian is dyed or if it's heated? Now we know that we could place the carnelian stone in acetone and see if the color leaks out, and that way we can determine if it is a dyed stone. However, carnelian, the dyeing process has been perfected over the years that a lot of it is so professionally done that it will not leak color in acetone. So we just have to be aware of the natural color of a carnelian and try to determine for ourselves if we can tell if it's dyed or not. So one way to tell is to check the bands of the stone. Now, this is another confusion that you may have is between orange agate and carnelian. Now they're both chalcedony stones, but agate in its definition is banded. So it'll have the bands within the stone where it was layered in its formation. Whereas carnelian has just orange, different patches of color, not necessarily banded. Orange agate and carnelian are used interchangeably in the gemstone market, so you don't really have to worry about that. But if you want to check, you can check to see if the orange is only seen in the bands of the stone. That technically is orange agate. And if the orange is seen throughout the stone in different patches of colors and inclusions, that is technically carnelian. Now back to the dyeing. As I said, we may not be able to tell the dye. You can see if the colors are more dominant in one section of your stone. If it's a little bit too bright, then again, carnelian has a lot of iron, which gives it its orange color. So a lot of vendors will heat the carnelian. They don't even have to dye it. They just have to heat it up to a certain temperature and it'll turn a brighter orange. So this is something we most definitely would not be able to tell if it has been heated by man or heated in the earth or under the sun, because this process is, or the conclusion is the same, where it'll be a brighter orange stone. So this is done a lot because dull stones, even dull chalcedonies and agates, don't sell as well. So the vendors want to brighten it up, heat up the carnelian, heat it up to a carnelian orange. So these stones here, this stone here has been heated. It was a duller agate, but as you can see now, it's a nice bright reddish orange, which can pass for carnelian. You can see on my bracelet here that these stones were also heated, so they're nice and bright reddish orange. If you look closely, you can see that they are translucent against the light. They do have the inclusions. Some of them have patterns and banding within each bead. Another way to tell if beads are dyed is to look at the bead hole, and if you see a little cluster of darker color at the bead hole, that means it's a poor dye job and the color has leaked and absorbed right into the hole of the bead. This usually, if it's such a bad job, it will leak out onto the stretch cord of your bracelet. You can see this stretch cord is white. It will turn orange over time if this was a dyed carnelian. Those are a few ways to tell if your carnelian is real or not. Now, as I said, best to have a reputable seller. Here at Satin Crystals, we do let you know if they are treated stones or dyed stones, so you can check that out in the listing themselves. The most absolute way is to send your stone into a certified gemological laboratory, and they can do the scientific tests for you. You can also learn how to do some of the scientific tests. We do have some more tips on how to tell real versus fake carnelian, for example, through specific gravity, through its density and its refractive index, etc. You can check that out on the Satin Crystals Fake versus Real Carnelian article. Meanwhile, if you need more carnelian in your collection, head over to Satin Crystals for stones and jewels in carnelian. You can also sign up for the Satin Crystals VIP Club. We send out useful crystal healing information every single week. And don't forget to save this video, because the next time you get a carnelian piece, you may want to come and revisit these tips. As always, I thank you for liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and spreading your positive energy into our universe.